Let's start with the nation. Northwest, Southwest top 93.5 million likely voters. Boko Haram, a plot to destroy Nigeria, says Buhari. Bandits kill community leader, nephew abduct 4 housewives in Kaduna. APC PCC challenges Atiku on alleged corruption. And Ekiti indebted to Tinubu, says Governor Oyebanji. 13 Edo train passengers still with kidnappers. And picture story here. Southeast to become the industrial hub, says Tinubu. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Major headline.
Major headline.
So INEC has released the list of all voters registered for the next elections, and we're up to 93.4 million Nigerians registered to vote. And they've done the geographical numbers, which, of course, the politicians and the parties would need. The Northwest is leading with 22.25 million voters. The Southwest is following with 17.9 million. North Central is third with 15.3 million, and the South has 14.4 million. Northeast also 12.5 million. So these numbers, of course, inform where campaigns will be strongest and all of that. And I hope that the figures are will just guide. Yeah. Will not make those areas porous to crisis and all of that. But this is good news.
So the Edo State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Neikare, has insisted that there were 20 passengers and not 32 passengers that were abducted. He said that so far 7 of them have been rescued, while 13 are still in captivity. And he's also saying that the security agencies are working in collaboration with vigilante groups, hunters, and he's very confident that the rest of them would regain their freedom. He also said that they had received information, from intelligence that had helped them. And he said that the government's policy of see something, say something is very important and is working very well. The identities of our informants are safe. That's, giving advice to those who see something and say something. And he says any landlord who allows his or her facility to be used to keep or murder victims will be an accessory to murder and will be charged to court. The rule has worked. They talked about another incident that happened. And for me, this sounds like they may have gotten information from people who may have seen maybe victims of any crime, or maybe particularly this crime, for them to have been able to rescue the 7. I'm hoping we'll hear more on that. So it's important that we say something, really. Intelligence cannot be gotten just by police officers.
Right.
Citizens have to participate.
Absolutely. So, as you know, it's political season, campaign season. Everybody's using everything they have against each other and their opponents. So there's one here. If you recall, the PDP had released put out a press release concerning Asiwaju's health fitness. And then the PCC of the APC have also responded, saying that also Atiku went for a medical checkup back in Germany last year. And also they also reflect on the fact that he has the allegations of corruption against him. They were referring to the whistleblower Michael Achimogu, who had recorded a tape where Atiku was allegedly admitting that the special purpose vehicles were used throughout his tenure as vice president to fund his private businesses and family activities. And that conversation was caught on tape, and that audio was released. And they're saying that if indeed this happened, that he should have actually stepped down from the race, because corruption is obviously all over, and he needs to admit where he's wrong. And as I said, it's a thick of political season. Everything you've got is the time for you to use it against each other, because we're trying to sway as many votes as possible. And this is political season for that. Okay, let's move on quickly now to the Punch. Very quickly, INEC final list. Northwest, Southwest, top 93 million voter registers. The president and the vigorous Gadfly. Jailing my husband's killer will caution drunk drivers, says widow of slain baker. CCTV exposes Ogun Hotel murder suspect. Marketers project 6-month fuel scarcity. PDP seeks alliance with 11 parties. UK shot Obi's company over account issue, says report. And INEC can't be trusted for credible polls, says Showore. Okay, which story are we taking?
UK has dissolved Peter Obi's company, Next International. This was a report that was given by Premium Times. and they reported that for failing to submit its annual accounts, authorities in the United Kingdom have struck off Next International UK Limited, a company largely owned by presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. They said that it was struck off after, it had gotten the compulsory first warning and second notice. So this happens after you haven't responded to any of the notices. Records say they show that the company was registered as a business agent involved the sale of variety of goods in England and in Wales. The firm reported that the firm reported taking a mortgage from Lloyds TSB Bank PLC for a property in Croydon, May 16, 2008, 14 months after assuming duties as governor of Anambra State. Obi resigned as the director of Next International. He was director while his wife served as secretary. They said that he had not, at the time where he was governor, he had not declared it as one of his assets, but he said he was unaware that the law expected him to declare assets or companies he jointly owned with family members or anyone else.
I read that story that, notices were given. Even if you were unaware, once the first notice, the law requires that the company's office in England send notices, and which they did. Each notice was enough awareness, except you just refused to file the necessary document. Marketers project that, the fuel scarcity would continue for another 6 months. According to the national PRO of IPMAN, Chief Ukadike Chinedu, he said that fuel imports and subsidy were making Nigerians suffer. He said the issue of subsidy and the importation of petroleum products are the major reasons why we are suffering like this and having epileptic supply of petrol. And he said this might drag till this administration leaves office because, they've budgeted for another 6 months of subsidy. According to the finance minister, they budgeted 3.6 trillion to pay for fuel subsidy till June 2023. And the minister for states for petroleum resources, that's where Chief Timipre Silva, he said that the NNPC is presently running at a loss because of his mandate with the federal government as regards fuel subsidy. So whatever they sell, they even have to pay for what they didn't profit at. And this just goes to show that everybody is talking about the removal of subsidy. I'm happy that all the presidential candidates have said they will remove fuel subsidy, so we're good.
Okay. I was really concerned about the CCTV. Story. I think it's some guy called Shegun.
Yes, so this a lifeless body of a man known as Shegun was found in a hotel in Ogun State. They said that he had come in on January. He had come in, I think it was like Saturday, January 7th. He had another person with him, a male suspect. They checked into the room. The next day, when the hotel staff went to the room to clean the place up, they found him, lifeless in bed. CCTV cameras show him coming in with this other person. And they said the victim already had a wound on his face. They, in fact, also had a swollen eye, that he had been at a party. Reports are saying that he had been at a party and he was attacked by hoodlums. And so it looked like he had come to the hotel for refuge. But by morning, when they found his lifeless body, the suspect had taken his phone with him. The police still found 250 on his person, so it looked like the suspect was not interested in his money. So I think police investigation it's still going on to find out who that suspect is. His image can be seen on the CCTV, but he's yet to be identified properly.
Moving on now to Daily Sun. INEC makes U-turn on election shift. Boko Haram ploy to destroy Nigeria, says Buhari. Labour Party to INEC make polling units PVC collection points. Importation in Nigeria drops by 40%. I'll make Southeast Industrial Hub, says Tinubu. An Edo train attack, 20 persons abducted. Let me start with the Boko Haram story. So President Muhammadu Buhari was receiving Catholic bishops yesterday at the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria at the State House. And there he was telling them categorically that the Northeast has become safer from Boko Haram. Said that they had shifted. According to him, they've improved over the years, particularly in the Northeast, where the focus had shifted to rebuilding infrastructure and orientation on education of the people. He said that he's also very grateful for their visit and that he just returned from Adamawa State and Yobe, and he spoke to the people and the officials there where they were able to say that things are much better than it was back in 2015. He also added that he will focus on the economy and ensure that we see a visible turnaround in the economy before he leaves office May 29th. There's something also really important that he said that, there's something I wanted to get. He said that but the reason why we are continuing to take loans is because many of these international bodies see us as credible and are able to pay back these loans. So we have the ability to take loan and pay back, and because of that, our creditors are able to give us these loans. Like if we're not able to pay back, there's no way these people will give us loans. That we should rest assured that our country will not be just indebted, but we have the ability to continually pay back these loans.
Okay, so the CBN has released a report of what we have spent totally on importation of petroleum products in just 10 months, January to October 2022. They said that a total of 12.44 billion is what we have expended, and they did a breakdown of how we spent throughout the months, from 1.1 billion in January to to about 1.424 billion in October. The total amount amounted to 12.4 billion. Analysts were in this report also analyzing the cost of it and blaming Nigeria's lack of working refineries. They said, oh, our 4 refineries are not working, and of course we must spend this money. And it's just painful reading it and then tagging it to the issues happening in Russia. Now we can't tap into that because of lack of infrastructure.
Okay.
So
based on the story that I think was talking about Sukuya, that in the by 2024 they said our refineries, Port Harcourt will function 60,000 barrels per day. Hopefully Dangote will resume, and then they will approve modular refineries. So hopefully in the next few years we should have.
They did not do it in 8 years.
Yeah, well, we can use they could have, they should have, they didn't, or we want to look for. Choose one. Go ahead.
Yeah, administration is getting some praise and some criticism here by stakeholders. They say that importation dropped by 40% as importers abandoned Nigerian ports for neighboring countries. Daily Sunday spoke to stakeholders. One person was mentioned in particular, the acting president of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agent. He says that ordinarily we thought that our level of growth and development would have been more than this in the industry, but they keep crawling. He says 2022 was not a good year for them because on a monthly basis from February, our volume of imports continued to drop. And don't forget, we have challenges with the Naira, the role of CBN not being consistent. He accuses CBN of that is always an interloper and involving itself in something that is not even its responsibility. Accuse the Ministry of Finance as being docile, not really doing anything. And above all, we have too powerful customs administration that nobody can control. And that's why 40% is dropping in the area of importation, and our importation continues to decline. He says, meanwhile, what he would say has worked for the nation is that exportation is increasing. And he says that in his own opinion, one thing he would say this administration has done well is in exportation, because they have seen an increase geometrically in the exportation, but the importation is still a problem.
Okay, moving on to Vanguard. Polls 93.47 million voters to participate, says INEC. Tinubu article trade wars over health and credibility status. As I said, it's political season. Train attack, 20, not 31 people kidnapped, says Edo government. Tension in Ondo as soldiers allegedly attack PDP members. And brain drain, Nigeria loses over 1,800 doctors and healthcare workers December 2022, says NMA. All right, which story?
Which one do you have?
The polls.
Okay, let me take the tension in Ondo. So the PDP in Ondo yesterday raised alarm over attack of its members in Idori, local government area of the state, by some alleged soldiers. They accused lawmakers representing Idori, Ifedore Federal Constituency, Mr. Tajuddin Adefisoye, of masterminding the attack on its members and destroying shops and where members were holding their meetings. They fingered the House of Reps member, and investigations are ongoing. The House of Reps member, Honorable Adefisoye, has come out to say, I did not have any hand in any soldier attacking anyone in Idori, and he has said that they also destroyed his cars and windscreen of his cars by bullets and that he did not send such. Police have arrested some perpetrators and they're investigating the allegations.
Okay, we're still on this brain drain matter. So the chairman, NMA Lagos branch, Dr. Benjamin Olowo-Jebutu, was said that the government must do something to stop and reduce the brain drain, revealing that about 1,800 healthcare workers left Nigeria December 2022. He made this known during the stakeholders' engagement with political party and the candidates in Lagos State yesterday. And he warned that medicine as a profession might go into extinction in the country if this problem persists. He was also saying that there's a very big challenge about brain drain. I've said it several times that we have to be very deliberate and we have to find a way to tackle this head on. According to him, the push and pull syndrome that is affecting Lagos Lagos doctors living is something we must attack. And I think we've been talking about this brain drain for a while. And I know that there are strategies in place to retain doctors. I've always said it, we need more strategies to pull them back in. And I think that's what we need to focus on. Any other story? Let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. INEC elections will hold. Lagos stops list of 93.4 million registered voters. Police arrest pastor for kidnapping himself. Really? APC PDP continue altercations over Tinubu and Atiku's health corruption allegations. Edo train kidnapped 20, not 32, abducted 13 still in captivity, says government. Concerns amount over collapsing infrastructure in Tinkan ports. Buhari meets Catholic bishops, allay fears on Nigeria's indebtedness. And Supreme Court dismisses Timi Lawal's interlocutory appeal on Ogun PDP governorship ticket. Which story?
Yeah, so I have the weirdest story of all times. So in Plateau State, the police command has arrested a pastor, Albarka Sukuya, for allegedly organizing his abductions and collecting 600,000 from members of his congregation. He staged this abduction twice, November 14th and November 30th. His congregation put together 400,000 for his release the first time, and then they put together another 200,000. Anyway, suspicions about his activity brought, about the investigation. And he confessed that he and his gang did this. I cannot believe it.
I think they're not givers in his church.
So he should be a thief. He also confessed to burning some vehicles within the premises of the church because some of them were his haters. I don't think that man is well.
Yeah, this one was not called.
He was not called.
So I want to take the port story. So according to the Tribune, concerns are mounting over the collapsing the port infrastructure at Tinkan ports. And in the report, the entire report, they said that all the witnesses decided to be, didn't want their names printed in the story. But they said that, the complainants are saying it's going to almost a year since the photos of collapsing infrastructure at some part of the terminals in Tinkan ports surfaced online, and that the federal government, through the MPA, assured of repairs that will happen. And when the Minister for Transportation, Honorable Gbemisola Saraki, visited last year, there were assurances also that the repairs will happen, that people turned up, operators within the port showed up giving suggestions as regards how to go about repairs and how to structure continued business so that this does not affect business, which was one of the concerns that they had. But the moment she left, the MPA also left, and that infrastructure continued to be dilapidating. They talked about perimeter fencing within the port. Some of the quays, aprons at Tinkan ports are giving way. I'm trying to get the name of this quay. I say something that I don't understand. They said they need to fix the berth and perimeter fencing within the port. Berth is what I was trying to remember. And these are important infrastructure for continued business there. Maybe we are waiting to... We need to shut down the entire port for 1 year or 2 years so that maybe that one will now give us productivity.